I will show you how to unwrap anything correctly and how to fix common issues of UV unwrapping. But first, what is UV unwrapping? It's a 2D texture image, and this 2D texture image is a representation of this 3D object. Our goal is to take the UV map, add material to it, then wrapping it back on the 3D object like in this example of a mushroom. Before we start UV unwrapping, first we need to understand the UV editor. If you go to the edge of the screen, hold left mouse button, then move. You will get this, just move it. Okay? To access the UV editor, you go to the editor type. Here we are in the 3D viewport, like we are selecting the 3D viewport. But if you select here, the UV editor, you will enter the UV editor. But to be able to see it right here, go to object mode, then enter edit mode. When you are in edit mode, you can see it. This UV map is a 2D texture image, and this 2D texture image is a representation of this 3D object. So, for example, if you go to face mode and you select this face, this 2D face right here represents this face. So each face of this is represented by one of those. If you press up and bottom, you will get this 3D object is represented by this 2D flattened image, which is called a UV map. What if you want them to be appearing at every moment? Like if you press away, you will not see it. You go to this sync UVs. If you press it, now you have every face appears even if it's not selected. Here, these options right here is basically the same as these options. So this is a face selection. This is an edge selection. And this is a vertices selection. And it works with the same shortcut. So 1 for vertices, 2 for edges, and 3 for faces. If you press T, you will have those options that appears here, but it appears here. So here you can move this or move it anywhere if you want. Of course, you only have the X and Y because it's a 2D image. We don't have depth, so we don't have Z. Okay, you can rotate it and you can scale it as you wish. Of course, while we are doing this, you probably saw that this is not affected by any of this. So whatever changes you do to this 2D image, it will not affect this 3D object. And the same things applies to here. So if you select a face right here, then press S to scale it. Even though that you scaled it up, this will not be scaled. The shortcuts are the same too. So if you press J, you get the move tool, and you can limit to an axis by pressing X or by pressing Y. The same thing for rotation, and the same thing for scaling. You can scale only on X or only on Y. This is one thing that I wanted to mention. In this case, it is not happening. As you can see, like if you select this face and move it, this face and move it, they all move independently like they should be. But sometimes you will have a problem where when you move an edge or a face, they will move the next adjacent edge or face next to them. And this can be a huge headache when you are working. To fix this problem, go to UV sync, deactivate it, and then you will have it looking like this. Go to this sticky selection mode and be sure to disable it. Okay, let's sync it back. This is the view options that you can get here, just like this one. This is the selection menu. This is some image menu if you want to add some images, and this menu is for the UV options that you can add it. We will talk more about these UVs when we start UV unwrapping our model. This is the origin point. You can put it anywhere you want. This is the grid, as you can see, as the same grid as we get here. And this is the proportional editing if you need it. If you middle mouse button and move, of course, you can get this. Here you can create an image. Basically, you can go here and just press new, and let's say this colored grid. Okay, we want to have a colored grid, and you can go to blank and choose color grid and new image. Now you have this colored grid image. Now go to shader editor to enter materials. Press N to have this disappear. Of course, I will explain this in the material part, so for now just follow me. You can shift A, just like in create an object, to add a node. then go texture, image texture, and right here you have the colored grid that we have created, and now you can link it to the base color, and when we do this we get this. Okay, let's go back to the UV editor just to show you something. Of course, enter edit mode to have your UV map appears, and you can see that if you press this top face, you have F6, F7, E6, E7, which are F6, F7, E6, R7. So this is actually taking this image and applying it here, and this is the power of a UV map. Now Blender know exactly where to put each face. So if you want this face, for example, to have this A7, you can just press G to move it and go down and put it in B6, B7 and A6, A7. You can press S to scale it, so it will take more faces. Okay, so now you can have like this. So if you have, let's say, an image texture right here, and using this UV map, you can actually just make your object follow it. So if we have a dice map, for example, we can easily make it follow it. And this is exactly what we are going to do now. Let's make a simple dice before we talk about common issues and how to unwrap anything. Now let's create a dice, but instead of going from this, I want to show you how to do it from scratch. So go to data, then UV map. Here is your UV map, delete it with minus. Okay, now we have no UV map. Let's create one. Press 2, select an edge. We want our object to open. So you can do it in whatever way you want. You can even select everything and just make it open everywhere. It's actually an option if you want to do that, but let's actually do it this way. We want this, this, and this, and this. Then Ctrl E and mark a seam. Okay, marking a seam will turn the edge red. This means that this object now will be cut open from these 2 points, and if you open it like that, this will be up, this will be up. Of course, we need to add one here just to make sure that it will be up. Like now this will up, this will go down, and this we can go to edge, mark seam 2, then this edge, mark seam. Okay, now we have selected everything. We can enter the face mode, press A to select everything, then press U to enter an unwrap, or just you can UV unwrap. Now we have this, okay, which is our 3D representation. Let's put it right here. Now, as you can see in this image, this is going all down, then this in the bottom. Okay, so you can select this face, then press G and Y and move it just down. Then this face, G and Y, and just move it down. Okay, now we have this. Now you can go to shader editor, go to this color grid, and then choose this file, open an image, and let's choose this. Now it appears like that. You can go back to UV editor, and instead of this, choose the dice, and because it's a little bit off, it appears wrong like that. So let's select everything. Like if you are not in the select box in tweak mode, just press B to select everything, then G and X and move it on X. Now we have done this. And it looks correct. By the way, if you press N, you will get these options that are specific to UV mapping. So you have the tools, the images, the view, and whatever this is. So if you go to view and you press repeat image, you can see now that whatever you have created here, like let's select it, is actually repeating infinitely. So if your object is big like that, it just will take others, okay, and take this off. Common issues is stretching and weird seams placement. How to identify UV stretching? Use a checker texture. Apply a checker texture to your model to check for uniformity. If every rectangle appears to be the same size, then there is likely no stretching. If you see rectangles of different size on the model, stretching is present, my friend. or enable UV stretching visualization. Go to overlay and choose UV stretch mode. Here you can choose by angle or by area. Usually area show better. The colors represent different degree of stretching. Dark blue, no stretching. Blue and green is acceptable. Yellow is mild or moderate stretching. Red or orange, high level of stretching. Aim for colors range from green to dark blue. Some minor stretching is usually acceptable if it remains in that range. How to fix this UV stretching? 1. Apply scale. Press Ctrl plus A and choose scale to reset transformation. Then select all faces and press U to unwrap again. This action often corrects stretching. Resize stretched faces with proportional editing. Select a stretched face and use proportional editing to make them slightly larger or smaller, which usually reduce the stretching. Enable correct face attribute in edit mode. If you are going to resize an object, enable correct face attributes. Go to Tools, then Options, then choose Correct Face Attribute. Now, if you resize your model, this will prevent stretching while modifying dimensions. Added supporting edge loops. For elongated objects, or like where there is like big edge then a small edge, adding a supporting edge loop will usually fix the stretching problem. 5. Use follow active quads. Select the most rectangular quad face and scale it along the X and Y. Press S then X then 0 or S then Y and 0 and make it rectangular. This will make it perfect quad. Select all faces, then this perfect quad as the last face, then right mouse button and choose follow active quad. This will align all faces, creating an even and non-curved UV layout. To maintain this layout after re-unwrapping another time, choose this layout, then either press P or right mouse button and choose pin. If you are in subdivision modifier, go to subdivision modifier, then in advanced, then choose from keep boundaries to keep corners or keep corners and junctions. This will usually reduce the stretching. If all this does not fix it for you, then maybe you should re-evaluate seam placement and unwrap your model again. Now for the second issue, which is weird seams placement. For continuous faces, place seams along the edge to one seam in the middle and if possible in areas not visible in the camera. For ring shapes like sphere and cylinder, place seam along limiting edges and added one in the middle where it is less visible. This will allow you to create all quad faces. For small angled edges like under 40 degree, a single seam is often sufficient. And of course, experimentation is key. UV unwrapping often requires trial and error, so don't hesitate to test multiple seam placement and unwrapping techniques to find the best result for yourself. Now let's start UV unwrapping our model. Let's start with these buttons. Select the button, press Ctrl to enter edit mode, then with edge selected, double click on this. Ctrl E, mark as seam. I want the second seam to be hidden so it does not show, so let's just put it right here. E, mark seam. If we press Z, then go to wireframe, double click this, then mark a seam. Okay, now I put it like that. Z, go back to solid and leave it. Then if you press 3, select all, then press U or press UV unwrap. Now we have unwrapped our model. Let's go to here, 3D viewport, and go to UV textures. Now we have UV unwrapped like that. Let's create a checker. So let's create new checker. Let's name it 3 because I actually created 3 before it. So let's put it like that. Okay. Now we put it like that. You can see it right here. Of course it does not show because we did not assign any material to this one. Select your object, then press new and create material. You can go here, shader editor, press N to hide that, just shift A to have a new texture and image texture, put it right here. Of course it will look black because we did not assign anything to it. And let's have checker 3. Okay, now it looks like that. Don't worry, I will explain the materials in the materials video. Now this is the same on this, like you can delete this and shift D to this, or it's a good chance to show you a new thing. So if you can actually copy materials and even UVs from an object to another in one condition. They are basically the same object, they are duplicate. So now you select first the object you want to copy stuff to, and last you select the second object, which is the object you want to copy from. So in this case it's this one, and then press Ctrl L. If you press Ctrl L, you have this link and transfer data. You can link object data, materials, animations, collections, and even UV maps. So first we need to copy UV maps, bam, and then we copy Ctrl L again, and we copy the same material. So bam, now we have the same material and the same that. Like if you go to the UV editor and select this, you can see that you have now the same UVs between them. You can select this, then this, and just you have this link data too. Now let's do the same thing to this object. So we select it, enter edit mode, press 2 to select edges. Let's select all this, then this, then this, all this, and all the bottom ones. And let's select actually this to separate it, this one too. And let's select all this. Basically I want to separate everything. Okay, so this object, this is the object, this actually can be like this, and you just put it like that. I am not really worried about how the UVs will look, because we are going to texture paint most of this, and we are going to use different materials, but I am pretty much sure that this seams will not affect my materials that much. This is why I'm going crazy with them. Mark as seam. Then select everything, and unwrap, and now you have this. So let's do this here too. So let's select this, press tab to enter edit mode. Let's go to UV. It may have some like crazy UVs because this UV is the default one. So let's change it. Like let's go to data and delete this one, and let's make our own. Okay, so enter edit mode. This should be probably like in this point. It's circular, right? Yeah. So then this, and then this, and then this. Like if it's not showing, then it's difficult to choose it. I want to choose this. Okay, then solid. Okay, then this. And is it really? Yeah, it is. And because now it will like be not really like, now it's already good, but we should probably add a cut like this to open it, like to make it get open. And I prefer to do it in the back side here, because here we can actually just select this point and then Control Shift and press and select all this line. Okay, then Control E, mark as seam, because it will be appearing from this side, so the seam from this side it will not be appearing. Okay, now we have make it all this 3, select everything, and unwrap. Now we have this. Go to shader editor. Let's create a material for this one. Let's actually create a new one, and Shift A, texture, image texture, and choose our checker 3 and put it right here. Now if you go to this, it looks like that. Now let's go to these two objects. Well, because this is a basic object, it's like already wrapped for us, so we can just go here, shader editor, new image texture, and just put it like that. You put it right here, choose the checker, and it looks fine. The same thing goes for this one. If we choose all this, probably go to UV, we'll find that it is already unwrapped. it's a basic one, even though that probably it will not it will not look so nice, but in our case it will just be fine. We don't need really to go in details there because we are not going to make so much details there. So shader editor, image texture, and not magic texture, that image texture, and just link it and just added the checker. See, it looks very nice. The same thing for this one. So image texture, let's choose there is a checker texture, so we put it right here and just checker. Select edges, edit mode, enter this, double click to select all the loop, then shift double click, then why did I do that? Double click on this to select all this loop, and then Alt E to extrude along normal, and just give it some thickness. Okay, then this is good. Let's give it some thickness, not a lot of thickness, just enough. Okay, something like that. So edge mode, select all this, then select all this, double click. Of course, now if you want to select the if you want to select the ones inside, it will be a little bit annoying to select them, so it's a good chance to do the isolation. Okay, so select your object, press slash to isolate it, and now you have them both isolated. So now just select all this, then double click on this and double click on this. Okay, and then shift and mark as a seam. And because of the nature of the object that you are going to create, I think it will be good if we do this, mark as seam. Okay, and now what we do now is like select all this, like go to faces, select all this, then press P to separate by selection, and now we have this object different. And what we can do now is go out of the isolation by pressing slash, then go to edit mode, press A to select everything, then press U to unwrap. If you go now to the UV, it's unwrapped like that. Let's go to the shader editor, select this, go to material, create a new material, shift A, texture, image texture, and just put it right here. Choose the checker, and it looks awesome. Now select first this, then the object you want to copy from, then Ctrl L, link material. It looks a little bit off because we don't have the same UVs, then Ctrl L, link UVs, and now they have the same UVs, they have the same material. And now we have edited all this, now we have created this. Now I want you to try to UV unwrap the rest of the model. You have acquired all the knowledge you need to do that. And if you have some stretching, I want you to fix it because I taught you everything about that. In my try of UV unwrapping this model, I went crazy with the seams. This just proves to you that if the materials you are going to use allow you to put as much seams as you need, then it's okay to put that. This time lapse is just to help you in case you got stuck or you wanted to try my way. Enjoy the time lapse. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something and see you in the next video about materials.